Hi there, welcome to another session of the Gooner Booth. So I think taking into account the weekend, opening weekend of the Premier League, I think everyone's happy it's back. Probably our misses aren't, but we're loving it. So I think that, after watching a game, you probably watched the highlights, Wayne, and you probably, have you managed to digest it and come up with some more um, reviews?
Yeah, firstly, good evening, Tone. Yeah, it was. I watched it on BBC, so obviously it's not the full 90 again. Obviously, having three kiddies doesn't allow you to do that, matey. It, you know, there's been a lot of thing. The challenge by Saliba on Cunha in the
Oh yeah,
box. Obviously they're replaying that. Um, my thing to not hang about too much on that is obviously I thought at first on the camera you thought it was a good challenge, and I still think it is. But what people are saying is obviously he seems to not make contact with the ball. But Cunha moves his left foot towards Saliba. Why I'm bringing that up is obviously you could say, oh, was it lucky? Personally, I think it'd be a harsh penalty. I think
yeah.
there's two people in the box competing. Football, if you can't compete in the box for the ball time, what's the point? Obviously, if it's a tackle, it's a tackle. There's penalties that are not being given, pushing people over in the box, sort of thing. So I think this is one wasn't clear cut, but um, yeah, mate, it's a tough one. As I say, watching it live, it's less tougher watching a 10-15 minute breakdown from BBC. But I think that they had our number. We were poor, as we said yesterday. But I think obviously you walk away from Old Trafford with 1-0. Someone brought up, and I won't go too long into this one, matey, but I'll leave it to you to obviously what your thoughts as well. But my last thought would be back sort of like if it's another team, sorry, not back in the day. I don't know what back in the day is coming up. But back obviously, and what I mean by that is say a Liverpool, a City, when they're winning titles is what I'm saying, trying to get at. If they did that, they were poor. It was called a champions performance. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Arsenal do it. We were poor. Man United had a number. Cunha and Mbemo, as we said, diagonals to them. Fullbacks are pushed up inverted. There's space there. You're thinking, Jesus, man is a free sort of like a free roll. But yeah, it was a tough one, mate. But yeah, what did you get time at all to have a look yourself? And what
I,
was your opinion?
I had another look at the highlights. Yeah, I go back to what I said yesterday. We were shocking. We were shocking. We didn't get going. Um, you know, Old Trafford, first game of the season. It's always a tough one. And United are always gonna be up for it. They've got some new signings. They were always. Cunha was good, by the way. That's I've seen a lot of Arsenal players come out going. Why didn't we get him? Why didn't we sign him? I I think he's a very, very good player, but his attitude stinks. So when you look at his body language, and I feel like it's going to be an interesting dynamic between him and Bruno. I think that's what I was looking at yesterday because they're both quite um uh you know moany. It's probably the best word to use.
Yeah, yeah,
So that'll be interesting to see how that develops over the season. But I think look, you got let's put it down to it's the first game of the season. We've had to go away to Old Trafford. You know, first time in a while we've had a fixture like that. In last season we didn't have the best starts of the fixture list, but going to Old Trafford, it's always one of them games. United supporters always going to be up for it. They're going to make our lives hell. You just knew from the start that United were going to be on it, up for it. Three new players up front. Sesko coming on. You know, I've seen people saying online that he had a better game than Gyökeres, and I don't really agree with that. I didn't see what he did other than a header. But yeah, look, as I said, one of them games where you take it, move on, regroup. Leads the weekend. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. What did you manage to look at the other fixtures?
yeah. It's one of those things. There was just pointing to one team that obviously we've had discussions about it. I say apparently according to the Premier League, they're saying they can't do anything about these 115. They can't speed up with in regards to Man City. Sorry, but they look good. Standard goal by Haaland. Didn't put him in the FPL team again, Tongue. Decided to put Isaac, and we all know
Well,
what's
well,
happening
we
at the
might not even
moment,
play. He's probably going to
and
sit in the under
he's not
21s for the rest of the season.
exactly, dude. He could be there to January. I think obviously, I think Man City 4-0. I mean, away to Wolves. Wolves are a funny team. Some that you could turn up there and they're not at their game. Other times they can be great, but I think obviously they've got Reinders, I think it is in midfield. Man City.
Yeah, good
He
player.
looks a very good player. Tone. Hard.
Jerky.
If they're getting Rodri back, the back line doesn't overly impress me, but Diaz, he's been there, done it, won it. Same with John
Yeah.
Stone, sort of thing. So yeah, I think that I watched that. They were good. I mean, Liverpool going back to Friday night tone, first game of the season, 4-2. Again, the other day, it was yesterday, sorry, where I said about was it when I said about Chelsea would getting their third, looking for a third left winger? I don't think it's yesterday or the time before. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter so much. Why I bring that up is that options. So, what did we bring on to obviously Martinelli was struggling, Saka was struggling. You want to keep Saka on, which that's what Mikel wants to do. But Liverpool brought on a player, Chiesa. He wanted to go apparently. The bloke comes on 88th, 89th minute, whatever it might have been. Tone. It was late in the game, 3-2 to Liverpool. Semenyo had an absolutely fantastic game. But why I bring that up is again, obviously Salah put it that it's 4-2 in the end. That's what Liverpool do. We play rubbish away at Old Trafford, but we still haven't got, in my opinion, the players that change it. Obviously, Havertz done well up top. I mean, obviously, Gyökeres, he struggled, but I still think he put himself about a lot. But Liverpool have the players. Whether Man City have, they've lost a few, but teams around us, Tone, they've improved. So we've gone and
Yeah.
signed a striker and everyone else around us has improved. We should have done it, a while back. But yeah, I watched that. To move on swiftly, matey. I think the 0-0 Chelsea could have won in,
Yeah, I was quite
against
shocked.
Crystal Palace. Yeah,
I was
yeah. Go
quite
on.
shocked with that one. I thought
Mm,
Crystal Palace were, they could have nicked it. That free kick from Eze,
yeah,
um, really strange rule. Ruling that out. I mean,
you don't see that often.
that was Arsenal-esque, wasn't it? Last season, where a new
Balls
rule
coming out
comes
of
in
nowhere,
and
time.
yeah,
You deep in
yeah.
the book. Yeah. You
So
haven't
that
heard
is
it before.
crazy decision there.
Yeah,
But I'm sure Crystal Palace would have taken a draw if you'd have offered it to them in the beginning of the game. So,
yeah,
but yeah, Chelsea were. I think they've got a lot of new players. I think that they look like they're probably gonna have to settle in. So you probably won't see Chelsea get going until after the fifth or sixth game in the
yeah,
season. So um, that'll be interesting. Just to recap on the scores over the weekend.
yeah.
Obviously, Leeds Everton played tonight. Liverpool beating Bournemouth 4-2.
Mm,
Aston Villa drew 0-0. Brighton Fulham 1-1.
mm.
Sunderland West Ham 3-0. Surprising result there.
Very much so.
Um,
Yeah.
Spurs beating Burnley 3-0.
Mm,
Wolves City 4-0 as we know. Chelsea 0-0. United, as we know, 1-0 Arsenal. And
mm.
Forest beating Brentford 3-1. So
Yeah.
um, I'll put it, if I was to pick out a surprise in that fixture list, it'd probably be Sunderland beating West Ham 3-0.
Mm,
Um, I think them having Xhaka in the midfield, yeah, he's got old legs now. I feel
mm.
like that might give them that boost. And I didn't watch the game. I didn't see the highlights of the game, but from what I heard, again, it could be newly promoted up for it, first game at home. But West Ham are in a bit of a position at the moment. I feel like they're gonna be battling relegation the way it's going. I feel like they need to get going in the transfer market before it closes.
Definitely.
Because a little bit worrying for them. But yeah. Should we have a look at the old transfer news and see
Yeah, we
what's
can,
happened? I
Tone.
think it's a bit.
Just a last point quickly as well. Yeah, I agree with you, matey. From an Arsenal standpoint, quickly for the last one, watching that game, quickly, sorry, I won't hold too long on
No,
it,
no,
but
go for it.
Xhaka looked like he was the deepest midfielder, Tone. But I was watching it again. It's a 10-15 minute breakdown from BBC. But Sunderland looked decent. Whether it might be that West Ham wasn't that great, I get that. But they could be one to watch out for, mate. In terms, I'm of the belief in terms of, you asked me the question, do I believe, of course, as an Arsenal fan, in any fan really, you should believe your team can do it. Whether it's realistic or not. I think one or two of the regulars are going to struggle this year in the league because you know what happened last year. Three teams come up. Then the same team, if I'm not mistaken, they all went back down, didn't they? Bar maybe one,
Uh,
bar maybe one, wasn't it?
it's a very good question.
Um, which obviously to look at, but
Yeah, I
what
think
my
so.
point is,
I think
it's very, it's
Ipswich.
highly,
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think it
yeah,
was actually. Yeah, I think it
yeah.
was.
Obviously we'll swiftly move on to the transfers, though. But yeah, having going back to that and an Arsenal thing, I think obviously with Xhaka in their team, Sunderland could be hard to beat. He's a warrior. Whether you think he's got the
Yeah.
legs still, I think he's a warrior, and he's a very good signing for him. And
He-
yeah. So we'll move on to the transfers, matey. But it's looking good from at the moment. It's only the first game still. We'll come back in about 15 games and see how they're doing. But he seems to play.
yeah.
We love him. That we could go on for a while. But yeah,
Let's just hope we don't do that against Arsenal.
no, yeah, exactly, 100%, 100%.
Um, yeah, transfer news. I just want
Yeah,
to
of
bring something up, right? And it's a
course,
little bit,
matey. Yeah.
it's pissing me off a little bit, from being honest with you. On Twitter, Ben Doak, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
I don't. Yeah,
Um,
it's a tough one.
Liverpool have sold him to Bournemouth for 25 million. And who the fuck is this guy? I don't even know who he is. You know,
Mm,
no disrespect to him. I'm sure he's a good player. Good luck to his move. But
mm,
we've got the likes of, Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira. I mean, Zinchenko's been up 8 million. You're telling me this guy's worth more than Zinchenko? It's
mm,
Premier League experience. I mean,
mm,
fair play to Liverpool and Chelsea because they absolutely find their reserve players and they're getting good money for them. The Liverpool centre back, I forget his name, he went for 30 million earlier in the season. You know,
yeah.
how the hell are they doing it? What are we doing at Arsenal? Why are we? It's again, I think it goes down to the wages. Someone's got to be
Mm,
looked at the back
yeah.
office. What are we doing? Because there's no resale value, and it worries me because if we don't sell, according to we've done 200 million. If we don't sell, we can't buy any more players, and I think we're still short. I think we need another. I
Mm,
need a left winger. It proved in Old Trafford. We need a left winger, another attacker.
100%. Yeah.
Um, and I don't think we're going to get it. I really don't. If we
Mm,
can't sell our players, I mean, he left out. Uh, he didn't put Trossard on yesterday,
mm.
which I was quite surprised by because I've been told that Madueke's a backup for Saka. Um, I don't think he is.
Yeah.
He come on. I didn't see a difference, like I said yesterday. Um, and that when I watched the highlights, he got absolutely skimmed. Didn't know where he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I get
So
it. Yeah. Down the left.
worrying, worrying.
Mm,
I'm not saying Rodrigo is going to be the best defender, but I mean, giving us something going forward, the outlet. So yeah, I'm worried. I feel like we're not going to be able to buy anyone. I think we're going to be left with, you know, I don't think it'd be the end of the world if we keep Trossard. I think we can probably get another year out of him. But if you're looking to win the league, we needed that statement sign on the left. The strikers come in brilliant, but we needed that statement sign on the left,
yeah.
and it's not looking good. Eze's been confirmed 65 million. Tottenham, well, it's whether Tottenham are going to want to pay 65 million. But if they
It's
get
getting
him,
closer in its time.
yeah, if they get him and the guy at Man City, I forget his name, the winger.
Savino. On that quickly, if I can interject, please
Yeah,
keep
go
that
for it.
tone. I did read today, whether you believe it or not, and obviously it's also in regard to Rodrigo, that apparently Man City want to keep Savinho now, but that is from I can't remember. I don't want to. He's Spanish. Does that Real Madrid
Spanish outlet,
Barcelona?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he said he's quite good as well. He's good journalist, matey. And he said apparently Savinho isn't going anywhere, so obviously it's not looking likely with Tottenham. Whether that leaves the door open for us in regards to Rodrigo, but obviously to go back to your point quickly, and I'll leave a thought with you as what you've just said. We in 2014 we signed Sanchez. Love the player, you
yeah,
know. Obviously, we know went to Man United, but again, his career didn't really hit the heights when he went to us. He was like a big fish in a small pond. We needed to surround him with better players. We had Özil, of course, but it. By the time he was going out, we were trying to replace him, but he was a fantastic player. Rodrigo has been likened to that kind of player. Sometimes, Tone, with the way we set up, I think you need to give license to a player like that if Rodrigo can hit them heights. I don't know if he can. I'm not saying it. I am a bit trepidatious with his signing, dude. I haven't seen enough of him to say he's going to be Sanchez like. But yeah, that's the update on that. As much as if you believe Twitter, Tone. But yeah, it's they're saying it could open the window for us. I've heard another one, which I want to let you get on with your point first, and I'll mention
Yeah.
it later. But you carry on with that. But I just wanted to tell you that's the latest, apparently. So
I had a, with the old back to the Eze situation.
mm,
I had a thought about Eze. I don't think we're going to sign him purely because Arteta realised that he can't. If for some reason he doesn't want to have he doesn't want to make the big decision of dropping Odegaard if he has a bad game, putting Eze
yeah,
in.
yeah,
Eze's not going to play on the left, although he does play on the left for Crystal Palace, and he would. I think he'd do a job out there.
mm,
But ultimately, if you brought him Madueke, you know, he's not gonna like, Again, I say the same thing yesterday. Why not take Saka off then if he's gonna be your right winger? And he,
yeah,
left him on there. Is he gonna burn Saka out again and just play him on the left? Um, yeah, I think if he goes to Tottenham, he enhances Tottenham big time. Um,
yeah,
and it'll be our luck that we'll go to we'll go to the London North London derby and he'll get a free kick and smash it in the top corner.
yeah.
Um, and we'll be sitting there going, why didn't we sign him? But I feel like I'm hoping Berta again has something up his sleeve, and he's let that one go because
Mm,
there's probably a chance we get Rodrigo. But
mm,
from what I'm reading, it's worrying because they're saying we have to sell. We're a big club. What happened to the big war chest that we had? I know we spent 200 million, but
yeah, yeah.
where's the rest of the money? Why have we got Chelsea and Liverpool and City? They're just they're fine money at situations. 50
I know,
million,
mate.
yeah, fine. Why have we got to be? We must have money in the pot, surely. So is that the owners? Who is that? What we're a big club. We're a rich club.
Mm.
That we should have money sitting there. But then is that FFP rule? I don't know. But yeah. What was your other news that you found?
Yeah, yeah. There was reports whether you know that Ademola Lookman,
Oh yeah.
ex Fulham, he's been absolutely smashing it at Atlanta. And apparently he's been on our list. It was mentioned in January. Apparently Atalanta wanted 60 million. Of course, thinking Arsenal were going to pay that is another thing. Apparently, it might have reduced to about 45 million this summer. Um, and obviously, you got the news with obviously with Eze. Another thing I want to interject, and it's not me saying, I think personally, I think we must have moved on, or what. I think he's going to go to Tottenham. Most likely,
Yeah.
it's almost a done deal. It's frustrating, and I'll share your echo your sentiments there, matey, about the sales holding anything up because I think it is. Apparently, it is. I think it's whether we're okay on PSR, the financial fair play with UEFA. Apparently, we're very close to it being an issue. So that's why it's all this. Oh, we got to sell. We got to sell. We got to sell. We need to do something in that left side. Um, and obviously, it's so many different things, Tony. You get Rodrigo 1 minute there'd be obviously news that Arsenal are still interested. Then there's one today saying he's happy at Real Madrid, and that's why I went over to Eze Tone because he back in the day and he said maybe about 2018, 19 or whatever he had an interview and he was like it still hurts I was an Arsenal fan and in my youth you know he got rejected by us and you kind of have that romantic thing like he's improved, Tone. He wants to come. While Rodrigo in the Club World Cup was getting whether it's his assistant or whatever, whoever runs his Twitter account, he was just going, "Let's go with him, Real Madrid," or he's touching the badge or whatever, And you think to yourself, like I said to you in one of the previous videos, that I just think it's an Özil like situation. And I think why Eze is obviously looking likely for Tottenham is because he wants to push now while we're still waiting till we can to try and get sales through. We got what 2 weeks, 2 weeks left time transfer window roughly.
Yeah,
I
about that.
think it's
Yeah.
roughly two, maybe a bit more, but that's what the news is, dude. I wanted to just chat that in as well, and I'm going to come to a question now because I waffled a little bit more than I wanted to. But what's your situation? Obviously, say if I give you a hypothetical one and get you to answer what you think, matey. If if we know Eze, if he's going to Tottenham and it's looking highly likely, so out of question. If Rodrigo don't happen, there was also talk as well. I'd like to chuck in your thoughts, but I think again it's a load of rubbish. Semenyo signed a new contract with Bournemouth, so
Yeah.
I'd like to get your opinion. Again, someone said, "Oh, Arsenal. Well, anyone's going to be interested. He's just signed a new deal. He's not going to be cheap." And again, he's literally signed it a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. Time. Lookman, what did you think? Ex Fulham. He struggled with Fulham. He's gone away to Italy, smashing it. And I just wanted to obviously see what you thought about that, dude. If everything failed, if it it's not so much it's a Sterling situation, but I think Arsenal are going to go. Just wondering what you thought between obviously Lookman, or do you think we should go in for Semenyo?
If you was to ask me both out of both of them, I'd say Semenyo purely because he's in the
Mm,
Premier League he's smashing it.
yeah, of
I'd say Lookman's a risk because if you bring him back to the Premier League,
course it is.
why did he leave the Premier League? He probably couldn't hack it. You
Yeah,
know you're taking that risk of bringing him back. So um, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I think Semenyo, although I think it cost a lot of money.
yeah,
The only
100%.
the only thing you're hoping for is something in his contract that says if a club like Arsenal come calling or a big club, there's a clause in his contract where they take a minimum fee. I don't, yeah, I don't think I think it's a rumor. You're probably
Yeah,
Arsenal interested in everyone. Um,
exactly. It's
you
all
know,
agent led tone. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
a
look at
lot
the
of it is.
strikers. We was interested in about 10 strikers at one point, and then now no, we need a left winger. We're
Mm,
linked with every left winger in Europe. So,
yeah,
but yeah, would I complain if we signed Lookman? Probably not. It's a cheaper deal,
mm,
45 million. It might be what we're going with. To be fair, it might be the fact that that's probably not enough money in the pot for Eze. In Crystal Palace, the release clause has expired apparently, so there's nothing stopping them going. Well, we want 85 million for him. You
yeah.
know.
It's well within their rights. Yeah,
Well, if you're looking at all the price of other players going
yeah,
out the door,
100%.
it's a nothing. There's nothing saying they can't do that. So um, look, I think Bert's got something up his sleeve. I'm hoping he has anyway.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm just worried that we can't offset our players. Like Lakonga. What's happening with him? He's not even didn't kick a ball in pre-season. Clearly surplus to requirements. Just you got Liverpool selling unknowns to Bournemouth for 25 million.
25 mil.
What why can't we? I think we've stuffed ourselves with the wages. I really do. I think you know your Zinchenko was on 30 grand at City. Comes to us, he's on over 100,
Yeah.
and naturally they're not going to want to drop their wages because of footballers and it's their livelihood.
Mm,
And he's probably got one more move, I reckon. But yeah, I think he's been linked to Mourinho at Fenerbahce, I believe, the last thing I read. But they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay a lot of money for him. So,
not at all.
um, yeah, I think they're clear out. I think they will go. I've got a massive fear that most of our players are going to go out on loan with an option to buy, which isn't good for us because we need the cash now. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, still, he's got 2 weeks left, right? I think we haven't heard any rumours on any Arsenal links, so that goes to tell you that we're purely concentrating on sales.
Mm,
So, yeah, I think maybe deadline day you'll probably see a little bit of movement for a left winger, but who that will be, who knows?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what if who would you sign? Who would you sign if we deadline day is coming up? Who
Mm.
do you think we should sign?
Yeah, that's it. As I say, for me, the hope would be because I think as I say, I've already gone over what I'm like, Tone, in terms of it, and you've been there when when we went out working together, and we was in a car parking. I'd just done a job, and I'm flicking through like all transfer rumours. I've done it for ages. You still get that kind of excitement and that want. It never used to happen a lot under Wenger. We used to bring in a Flamini and a Sanogo and whatever. That for us two personally, that Özil saga was fantastic, and we sat there together watching the game when he literally, I think it was Sunderland away, if I'm not mistaken, and he put the ball through to Giroud, and Giroud hit it first time, bang. Me and you were like, wow, we knew we got a player.
Yeah,
It's that hope, and why I bring that up is because that was a last minute thing in the window, and my hope with Rodrigo is potentially, if I mean, obviously it was at the detriment of at Spurs, because obviously it was the Bow transfer. So I still think the hope, if I'm going to be the high level, if obviously if Eze's gone, I think you have to go for the highest possible quality player. Rodrigo, if he surplus the requirements come the 31st September 1st, sorry. If he's surplus at that time and Real Madrid are going, actually, you know what, we need to get rid of this guy. We need to do something. Hopefully, Tone, that'll be my first choice, if of anything. One player I want to quickly chuck in as well.
yeah.
It's not likely in any way, shape, or form, according to a lot of people, but there's a lot of people on Twitter. Rafa Liao, if I can
I'll
say
take
that
him.
right,
Good
for
player.
AC Milan. Yeah. So what I'd like to say to you, Tony, is them two will be the absolute top of my list. Rafa Liao is not a great, and again, I apologise, guys, for my pronunciation. We will be practicing that before we go on, but
Yeah,
it's one of them because he'll be in Portuguese, but he's a fantastic. He literally run for pre-season or not. He ran for our defence. I think it was Saliba closed him down, forced him wide. But I just thought to myself, as much as this guy's stats, if you look on it, Tony, you'll see I don't think his stats are much better than Martinelli's, and it's the same with Rodrigo, by the way. But I just think this guy just looks like he's got more. He might
yeah.
not be that defensive, and I think Rodrigo will be the same. But he's that X factor. He's that he's that
Get you off your
spark you
seat.
need on the left.
Get you
Yeah,
off your seat, sort of player. Yeah,
exactly. Like you're at the Emirates and you're like, this guy's got something else. Him and Rodrigo, I think, are those X factors that I would want.
yeah,
Um, Knowing Arsenal, it's a last minute deal for Lookman. Transfer deadline day. We've just got rid of Trossard. We've loaned out Nelson to Fulham. Sinchenko's loaned out to Fenerbahce or Roma because we couldn't agree a deal, or whoever. And other players have loaned or got a little. I think that the most likely you're looking at, but they're my top two. But I would say I wouldn't moan like you've just said about Lookman. I just think it's for me it's the worry of the risk, like
yeah.
you've just said. You've left the Premier League, but again, look at Lookman and look at Gyökeres. Gyökeres hasn't kicked a ball in anger in the Premier League. He was fantastic in the Championship, but having that step up is the next one. So of course he's been fantastic in Portugal, and this is not me. I'm just saying in terms of he's returning. Gyökeres, sorry, was a risk. So yeah, I wouldn't be overly moaning, Tone, because you saw on Sunday, and it's the frustration. We've had chats and chats and chats on our private chat. You, and our friend there, and how many times have you seen me moan? And I just say, look, I love Martinelli. I love his hunger.
Yeah.
I love his defensive. He's a battler. But when you're like, that's fantastic. But we just need something to happen on that left. Either it's a case of, if you're going to tell us we're not going to bring the left wing in, then you need to do something on that left hand side, because as much as I don't overcomplicate it and go on for way too long, there's a thing going around on Twitter. A lot of these people chatting, like, obviously what we're doing at a higher level, obviously, but we're trying to aspire to that. But we'll carry on. But they're talking
Yeah.
about a horseshoe that we play in. So we got the ball, and Arsenal, we shift it out there. It doesn't work. We bring it back in the middle. We shift it out there. It doesn't do nothing there, and it's like that. They're saying, the plan. They call it the horseshoe, and it's evident, because it doesn't work with Martinelli. He comes back in. Rice gets it, shifts it. Last season, obviously, it was Partey. Shifts it out to the right. Timber to Saka doesn't work. Whoever's playing, it. it's frustrating, Tone. Sometimes you just want to abandon something or have that player who's going to go, right, like this is why I wanted Eze, picks the ball up, edge of the box, bang. And all of a sudden it's a go, and you're like, you're off your
Yeah,
seat. You're like, what's
yeah,
going on? Instead of that constant, boring, let's go back, let's go forth, you know. But yeah, to answer that question, Rafael and Rodrigo's the dream. I think I think it could be Lookman if we do get the sales. It's like
yeah,
if we don't get the sales done, could either be an emergency loan deal or nothing at all, and we'll stay. The left side will still be the issue. Time, you know, Trossard, I love. He's and sorry to go on. I'll try to wrap up my wafflings, dude. But
yeah. Go.
Trossard is an impact player. You know what I mean? Bring him on.
Yeah,
He's a great impact player.
yeah,
You know, my personal view is get that X factor left winger. Have Martinelli still there on the bench, tired legs. X factor winger's not moving. It's not doing well. One or the other with Saka. Bring that guy on because Martinelli is feed me through the middle or behind the fullback, in between the space, in the channel. He's there, defender's there. Martinelli needs that ball there. That defender's dead. Martinelli's on it. Look what he did at Real Madrid. Tired legs, goal, bang. That's
yeah.
what kind of player we need, but we need that X factor time. So, would you agree with that, matey? Would you be sort of,
I would.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that it's a low block that we need to do better against this
so
season.
frustrating time?
You know, I think Leeds is going to be a good test for that because Leeds aren't going to come there and play go toe to toe with us. They're going to sit in because they know it works. They're going to sit in. You know, they're just going to study us. They know that everything goes down the right, so they'll just deploy three players. As soon as it goes to Saka, two players are on him. Go back to Odegaard, back across, back in. It's the same old shit every game, unfortunately.
Yes, it is.
Um,
It is.
and I just hope that I think the left winger would give the opposition something to think about.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
if you've got
Yeah,
a left wing on the other side doing the same level as Saka, um, offering the same level of danger, then yeah, you but we have to wait and see what happens.
yeah,
But I just hope that as I said, that Madueke can offer us something on either flank.
mm,
Um, I think maybe Old Trafford's probably a bit harsh. He's come onto a game where we was under it. We weren't really getting the ball, so it was chasing after their wingers most of the game.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's the transfer news. We'll just try. I think that yeah, will we sign someone? You never know with this club, and I think it makes it really hard to do a podcast about transfer news because there isn't any. We've spent the whole talking about what we would wish for,
exactly.
but then
Wishful thinking.
are we? The question you got to ask is, are we being a little bit ungrateful? We've signed six players, so a lot of our fans go, look, we've signed six players, chill
Yeah,
out, but we always want more. But the thing is, we always know we've never done it. In my years as being an Arsenal supporter, we've always
mm,
left ourselves slightly short.
100%.
Um, so one thing that I would say yesterday was our bench looked a lot better. There wasn't a load of youngsters on the bench.
Yeah,
There was
exactly.
players to turn to. So
There
there's a
wasn't a
positive there.
Sterling on the bench time.
Exactly, exactly. So all right, we'll leave it at. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for tuning in. Hit like and subscribe. There's going to be more content coming out later on this week. We've got some more. We'll do some more news, transfer news, as and when it comes in, if any, if we're lucky. And we've also got the Leeds preview coming up, which we're looking forward to that. Season has started. We're in the thick of things. We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care,
okay.
guys.
See you
Bye.
later.